Hey, I'm Jisoo, and I've played Sifu for over 150 hours, and I'm sure that my knowledge is going to help you become Sifu. This video is going to be the most complete, most detailed, the ultimate version of all the guides out there. Here in one place, I'm going to explain every single thing, even the things the devs themselves couldn't do properly. Without further ado, let's go. When starting a new game on Sifu, you have to choose between 3 different difficulties: Student, Disciple, and Master. What you should consider is that when you choose Master, you could always downgrade to Disciple or Student, Student being the easiest difficulty. But if you decide to go with Disciple, you cannot upgrade your difficulty later, meaning that if you choose Student difficulty, you cannot upgrade to either Disciple or Master. You are pretty much locked down there. The game is divided in 5 different levels, and throughout your playthroughs, your progress, XP, points, and unlocked skills is going to carry over from one level to the next. That said, there are certain things you should keep in mind. So let's say you want to restart a run, or you want to redo a certain level because you got beat up pretty bad, and you want to come at a certain point at a younger age. Well, you will lose all your progress, meaning you lose your XP accumulated up until that point, and then you lose all the skills you haven't permanently unlocked just yet. Because yes, just unlocking the skills once is not enough, you have to make them permanent. That's why I will advise you just focus on 4 to 5 skills per round. That way you make sure that you unlock them, because if you complete the game and beat the final boss without unlocking and perma-unlocking those skills, you lose them. You lose the skills, but you do not lose the progress you made toward making those skills permanent. It means that if, let's say, you were 2 unlocks away from making that skill permanent, then on your future runs, it will stay that way. You just need to unlock the skill first and then spend twice the SP to make it permanent. If you are new to the game and don't know in which skills you should invest your XP, I would advise you spend those points in vertical strikes, charge back fist, chasing trip kick, crouch punch, and slide kick. Those ones, they never deceive. Oh, and upon acquiring charge back fist, you will be able to now take down any normal enemy in one shot. It means you can kill anybody in one shot except the bosses, and all you have to do is hold heavy and boom. And the good thing, if you successfully perform that one shot takedown, you will automatically receive 1 focus bar and more health, so that's always nice. You can acquire skills or bonuses at a shrine, on top of the shrine replenishing your health. But if you don't take any bonus, the shrine is still going to get consumed no matter what. So even if you don't feel like taking something, there is no coming back, might as well just get something. After fighting and defeating a certain amount of enemies, the next normal enemy you're going to attempt to perform a takedown on is most likely going to turn into a Super Saiyan. It means they become enraged, they become those super powerful versions of the normal enemies. Do keep in mind that it depends on the location and the kind of enemies. It means that not everybody can turn into an elite because they are already elites themselves. And it also depends on the location, because as long as you're fighting in certain areas, they will never turn, like those long hallways. Upon killing that particular enraged enemy, the counter will reset and you will have to kill again a certain number of enemies before another one can turn into an elite. It means that you cannot have 2 enemies turning into elites in the same room. There is a stealth mechanic in the game. If you are able to sneak up on an enemy and then hit them, you'll be able to instantly perform a takedown on them. The directional throw is the equivalent of bomb strike, the push. So it can also be used to stun enemies if you can successfully push them into each other. And also, if you're standing very close to a ledge and you perform directional throw, there's a chance your character is going to throw them over said ledge, which is very good, especially if you get surrounded. This one skill is a very useful one which you can apply in real life, and all you have to do is press that red subscribe button and the world will become a better place. You should try it out. Certain enemies will fight you using knives or bladed weapons. What you want to remember is that as long as you block against those attacks, you will take deep damage. But if you equip yourself with a weapon, no matter the weapon, and you block, you won't take that cheap damage. You can parry an enemy's attack, and if you are successful in doing so, even without using a weapon, you will be able to avoid every kind of damage. What the game does not tell you is that as long as you keep parrying, meaning as long as you keep performing perfect deflections, your structure will fill and even be full. But the thing is, as long as you keep performing those perfect deflections, your guard won't break. It won't. So basically, you can parry every single attack in the game, whether the bosses are using weapons or those unblockables they will sometimes do. You can parry everything but the grabs. Don't get grabbed, you only have to dodge those. Vaulting over ledges will most of the time make the enemies stop attacking you, and even if they end up attacking you, as long as you keep vaulting, you won't take damage. It is a great strat, especially when you feel overwhelmed and need room to breathe. Just don't use it recklessly. Now we will talk about the skills and mechanics the devs did a very poor job explaining, starting with the Pushback Cancel. The Pushback Cancel is an amazing move. It is a very useful skill which is going to allow you to recover your balance, which can make you avoid a potential follow-up attack or just hit a wall. The one problem is that the description of the skill is wrong. When pushed back, you don't want to hold the block button, you want to perform a dodge. You want to perform a dodge down, as if you were dodging a mid or high attack. So yeah, the description is wrong, and to this day is not fixed yet. But don't forget that the pushback cancel only works as long as you get pushed while the structure is not broken. If your structure is broken at the same time you get pushed back, then it won't work. Next, we have directional throw. Directional throw is one of the most amazing tools you ever use in the game. It is free, you don't have to unlock it, but the problem is that the devs again made an incomplete description of that move. The directional throw can be performed post parry on a stunned enemy and after you perform a dodge. Yes, they forgot to mention that one important thing, and I still don't know why. Till this day, it is still not fixed. And while we are on the topic of dodges, let's talk about punish windows. Upon performing a good parry or a perfect dodge, you will be able to punish the enemy right after. The thing the game does not tell you well, because it is somewhere in the game, but it's so well hidden, I wonder how anyone would find it unless they really are looking. So, the punish windows. If you successfully punish an enemy 3 times in a row, they will enter a stun state. And you can tell when they are in this state because there is a sound, it's a very subtle audio cue. And while in that state, for 3 to 4 seconds, depending on the enemy, you will be able to perform whatever attacks you want without them retaliating. It's very good, and you need to know about that. And you can also make the enemies go into that stun state if you deal enough damage to them in a short amount of time. And again, you can tell by that very subtle audio cue. Some enemies can be interrupted in the middle of their attacks if you are able to throw something at them, and when they are stopped, you can then punish them by either using directional throw into chasing trip kick or chasing strikes. The game has a very interesting checkpoint system. Basically, as long as you defeat all the enemies in a certain area, the next time you reload your game, you won't have to fight them again. And the usefulness of that system comes in handy when fighting bosses, especially when you want to attempt a no damage run on a particular boss, or you want to beat that boss without dying. So let's say you want to perform a no damage run on a particular boss and unfortunately you got hit. Instead of just restarting the level, what you want to do is just leave to the main menu, and then all you have to do is just press continue and you will be brought back right before the boss fight. It is not 100% accurate, sometimes you will be brought back very far from the fight, but it's still better than restarting the whole levels and the enemies you defeated will remain defeated. And since we're talking about the bosses, always remember that before every single boss fight you can find a useful weapon or sometimes even weapons you can use to aid you in battle. And since the devs knew that some encounters in the game were really toxic, if you pay attention you will always find a weapon in the rooms where let's say there is a very special enemy or enemies. Some skills in Sifu require you to input a series of directions in order to be executed, but what the game doesn't tell you is that that series can change depending on the position of the enemy you want to hit. Let's take for example crouch punch, which is forward forward light. If you want to hit, let's say, an enemy on your right, you have to input right and then light. This comes in handy especially when you are surrounded and you want to hit a particular enemy. So yeah, you can do that. And it works with every single directional based skill. If you are playing on controller, you need to know that by pressing right on your D-pad, you will be able to taunt your enemies, and it is the equivalent of trash talking. Taunting enemies is relevant for two reasons. Firstly, it will always aggro the enemies, because sometimes they may stop attacking you when you want them to actually target you, so it will piss them off and they will definitely come for your ass. And the second valuable reason why you want to taunt is because it will increase your multiplier, your score multiplier. So why should you care about that multiplier? Well, some bonuses require you to have a certain score to be able to afford them at the shrine, and sometimes you may not be able to make it, especially when you get hit, because being hit will automatically decrease your multiplier. But certain actions like parrying or performing a takedown or sometimes even just dodging can increase your multiplier. Upon defeating a certain enemy type, you will be able to unlock that enemy archetype in training mode, allowing you to practice some moves in case you are struggling against that particular enemy. And same applies to bosses. You can actually fight and train against bosses in training mode. However, it is not a proper representation of how a fight would go against the bosses, because some of them require a certain environment to be 100% efficient. So yeah, you can train against the bosses, but keep in mind that this is not accurate. This isn't 100% accurate. They can be way more mobile, and yeah. You need to know that certain actions may prevent your structure from going down. For example, if you run or if you keep your guard up, meaning if you keep blocking, your structure will not recover. So you need to let go from time to time in order to let your structure decrease. That said, certain actions, such as dodging, will decrease your stamina. So, to find the right balance, you should be able to mix and go from parrying to dodging and fight efficiently. Also, when you're not attacking an enemy, their structure bar will start decreasing. It means that you want to always keep that pressure up for them not to recover, throwing away all the progress you might have made. And also, since we are on the topic of structure, did you know that you can spare the bosses? You can! In order to spare the bosses, you will have to break their posture twice. And upon doing that the second time, you will be given the option to press left on the D-pad and spare them. Just be careful, you don't want to accidentally kill them, and when prompted the option to spare them, you don't be like me and accidentally kill them. So yeah, spare the 5 bosses and you will be giving access to the secret good ending. You can cancel the animation of certain skills and moves, and the reason why that comes in handy is because sometimes you may not want to land that back fist because it will be unsafe to do so. And also you can chain some attacks and even extend some combos if you are able to properly dodge at the right time to cancel an animation. And when you do that properly, it is amazing. And since we're talking about skills, you need to get familiar with the skills you want to use. Some of them can be very useful in certain situations, such as being able to duck into an enemy's attack or being able to go over a sweep. A skill such as Flowing Claw, for example, is one of the most amazing skills when it comes to evading an enemy's attack. And when you get the hang of it, you can actually become untouchable with style. Styling Claw? No? Okay. Upon completing a level, you will be able to then use shortcuts on that level, and the reason why you may want to do that is because it may reduce the amount of time you will spend on that level so that you can get to the boss faster. However, don't forget that if you choose to use the shortcuts, you may miss out on some shrines and their bonuses, so yeah. Some shortcuts are pretty obvious. You just need that set of keys or that keycard to be able to open that one door. But some other shortcuts are not so obvious, and some even involve breaking your legs. The game will always save your best run. Let's say, for example, you came at the club at age 40. That age is going to be the new normal at which you will always start the club, provided you didn't start from the squats prior to that. So if you want to start the club at a better age, all you have to do is just come there at a younger age. But let's say you were able to complete the game at age 20 and you want to come at the club with a different set of bonuses. What happens then? Well, like I said, the game will always save your best runs, and if everything is the same, let's say your age is still 20, then it's going to consider your score. What is your best score when you went from the squad to the club? That's why I said that it will always save your best runs, and if you max out then on the score, it's just going to change every time you come to the next level. However, if you start from the squad and you go to the sanctuary, the last level in one sitting, it won't change. It only applies when you want to go straight to a level by skipping the previous one. Performing a takedown will make you untouchable for the duration of that takedown. It can be your get out of jail card. And also, minking. When you perform a mink on an enemy on the ground, you cannot be touched unless the enemy performs a sweep or a mid attack. Other than that, you are safe and it can be used again as a get out of jail card. Oh, that's a lot. I actually have one more. For my console players out there, let's say you want to play the game from beginning to end at the max age. What you need to do is die to the very first thugs at the beginning of the first level. But upon doing that, what you want to do is quit the game, close it, and then back up your save, because you don't want to do that over and over and over again, especially if you play on the easy difficulty. I made a test. It will take you 26 minutes to kill yourself. I don't think you want to do that every time, so save yourself the hassle and back up your save. Upon doing that, all you need to do, if you die, let's say if you die on that run, all you need to do is then download your your save on the cloud, and then you can go again for another run. Just don't die for 26 minutes. I did it once and I don't want to do it again. Whew. And with that, I'm done. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully some of those tips or tricks help you. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you around. Be sure to drop a like, be sure to subscribe, and bye bye.